nestled among the jagged peaks and expansive forests of Patagonia, the small town of Villa El Chaltén was renowned for its seclusion and stunning natural beauty. It was here that Jonathan Selby, an intrepid wildlife photographer, arrived with a single intention: to capture the soul of this wild frontier through his lens. As dawn broke on his second day, Jonathan embarked into the forest, driven by tales of an elusive, unnamed creature, a local legend that danced on the edges of myth and reality. Jonathan's journey took him deep into the underbrush, guided by an old map and the whispers of locals who had grown up with tales of the creature. The canopy above was dense, allowing only slivers of light to pierce through, speckling the forest floor in a scattered, ethereal glow. Unbeknownst to him, each step extended an invisible tether between Jonathan and the malevolent forces that watched from the shadows. Throughout his trek, Jonathan couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. His footsteps echoed, doubled somehow, as if paced by an unseen companion. The forest felt alive, breathing, its silence both a blanket and a threat, a prelude to the fears that would soon gnaw at the back of his mind. Jonathan's second day was marked by an eerie serenity that seemed to mute even the sound of his breath. He set up his camera along a narrow ridge, overlooking a cliff that dropped into a sea of rolling mist and forested valleys below. The sun was setting, painting the sky with hues of crimson and gold, a stunning backdrop that belied the tension tightening in the air. For hours, Jonathan waited, capturing the slow descent of daylight, each photograph a testament to the unparalleled beauty around him. Then, in that dwindling light, something shifted, a shadow at the periphery of his vision. He turned just in time to glimpse the creature, an amalgamation of features that resisted distinct recognition. His heart thudded wildly as the viewfinder centered on it, each click of the shutter echoing in the silence. The creature moved with an otherworldly grace, melting into the deepening twilight, as if woven from the fabric of the dusk itself. When the stillness returned, Jonathan's heart was a frenetic drumbeat in his chest, and his fingers trembled as they held the camera, his lifeline, his storyteller. Days spooled out, tempering Jonathan's initial excitement to a slow-burning obsession. The image of the creature was blurry and indistinct, yet undeniable in its presence. He knew he had stumbled upon something monumental, something that defied explanation and called on the very limits of his understanding. Each dusk, he returned to the same ridge, camera at the ready, breath baited with hope and fear. The forest, once beautiful and enigmatic, now appeared as a labyrinthine enigma, each branch twisting in ways that felt purposeful and menacing. The air seemed heavier, steeped with a malevolent intent. Whispers surged through the wind like taunts, and the trees swayed with a life of their own, leaves brushing together in conspiratorial whispers. Attempts to explain his encounters to others were met with skepticism masked by polite nods. He quickly realized that the legend was one of those stories best left to the campfire, where the reaches of the flames blurred the lines between fact and fiction. But Jonathan was not one to run from a story. He was drawn to it, like a moth spiraling around a flame, unknowingly courting destruction. On what would be his last shoot, Jonathan set up at his usual vantage point. The air was cool, a sharp contrast to the simmering tension under his skin. As he adjusted the lens, a chill swept through him like a spider tracking up his spine. Instinctively, he looked over his shoulder, yet found nothing there but the creeping signs of dusk and an unsettling stillness within the expanses of the forest. Determined to capture more than fleeting glimpses, Jonathan navigated closer to the edge of the cliff, where the world fell away sharply into shadowed depths. He felt removed from reality, each footfall another step into a realm uncharted and unclaimed by time. As darkness enveloped the day, the creature emerged once more, an iridescent ghost against the velvety night. In vain, he attempted to steady his hands, focus sharp and intent. Yet the creature seemed an ethereal dream, a trick of light and dark, fleeting and elusive. Tension bubbled over into something more dangerous, a rebellion against the fabric of rational thought, as the thrill of witnessing veered into terror. The search for Jonathan began the morning after he was reported missing. His friends in Villa El Chaltain raised the alarm when he failed to return, their concern hammered with every unanswered call. A local search party was swiftly organized, each member warily familiar with the tales and mysteries that could swallow a man whole in these lands. Jonathan's trail led them deep into the forest, along paths into which only he had ventured. As the searchers pushed further, they found signs of his presence, marks of fresh footprints, and the unmistakable remnants of his camp, the detritus of a man's hurried abandonment. The air was heavy with the scent of night as they tracked his supposed path, their progress slow amid the thickening forest, an unspoken dread tugging at their heels. It wasn't until dusk that their foray brought them to the cliff's edge. There lay Jonathan's camera, a sentinel in the grass, still pointing outward towards the expanse. The searchers felt an unease settle over them, as though they were not alone there. The camera was intact, untouched by elements or forest creatures, its presence as enigmatic as the space Jonathan had once occupied. The camera found at the cliff was almost reverently removed and examined. The contents of the camera yielded what Jonathan had seen: blurred images, trace shadows of the creature, its presence visible just beyond comprehension. Each frame seemed alive, an image trapped in the transition between reality and nightmare. Those present during the discovery spoke afterward with whispered voices, as though the jungle itself might listen. They turned the forest into stories, each rendition a little darker, a bit more infused with fear of the unseen. Some claimed Jonathan had been claimed by the legends. Spirits of ancient beings not entirely eradicated by the passage of time. As night fell and the wind drew sighs through the branches, more than one searcher felt a tightening in their chest, as if the forest itself had drawn them under its enchantment. The whispers, now unbound, wove through the town like tendrils, reshaping the lines between fear and belief, reality and illusion. Days turned to weeks as authoritative search efforts shifted to tragic resignations. Official documentation sealed Jonathan's fate as missing, presumed dead. Yet those who remained haunted by the unexplainable knew there was more hidden within the trees than what remained in the fading search reports. The villagers embraced the legend, some to ward off the whispers that clung like morning mist, others to indulge in the chilling warmth of a mystery unsolved. Taboos and tailies were now interwoven into the fabric of daily life, the legend consuming the unclaimed spaces between certainty and imagination. Newspapers retold the saga in broad strokes, each iteration darker than its predecessor, amplifying international curiosity and its spectral sense of intrigue. In the absence of resolution, the forest breathed on, lush and impenetrable, vibrant with the murmur of secrets cloaked within its depths. The lost photographer's legacy persisted in stories, a living ghost narrative that thrived on fear and thrived under moonlit nights when shadows waxed with secretive intent. While Jonathan's disappearance was a closed chapter for many, others were drawn to Villa El Chaltain, intrigued by the legend and its promises of discovery. Explorers, journalists, and truth seekers came and went, each leaving with more puzzle pieces, but no resolution, tantalizing glimpses of a narrative too grand to comprehend fully. The forest served as its own enigma, possessing an allure akin to forbidden knowledge. Dark shadows moved yet were never seen, elusive and omnipresent. Clocks seemed to slow here, under the unwelcome gaze of trees older than time itself, as if the forest had intentions unseen and unknown, attracting attention only to disrupt it, embracing intrusions only to consume them wholly. Those who ventured too close to the truth found themselves changed, burdened by the pressing weight of nature's dark, inscrutable stare. In their return to the outside world, they carried the taint of those forest secrets within them, echoes of presence half glimpsed, and the quivering thrill of a mystery without end. A lingering hope burgeoned within the hearts of those left behind, friends and family members still tethered to the hope of Jonathan's return. Hints of him lingered in dreams and reflections, a specter of unfinished stories wanting closure. And so the legend stretched, transcending into personal mythos, whispers of northeast winds carrying messages only the heart could hear. Attempts to document and understand the enigma took form in journals and films, each a tribute to someone lost to the wilderness, and perhaps themselves. Yet every recount bore an eerie similarity, underscoring the notion that those dark woods held truths inscrutable and beyond quantification. Truths that perhaps only moved between dusk shadows and woven canopies. In the village, the shared story became an entity of its own, a tapestry of fear and fascination, stitched by tongues and inked by those still drawn to the cliff's edge, hoping against hope that secrets might surface, each word whispered, and every pen scratched on paper, further entwined the reality of a legend too close to touch, yet too potent to ignore. Nothing has ever been uncovered to conclusively explain Jonathan's disappearance, yet the unease yearned on, imbuing the place with a strange magnetism that veiled its beauty. Every shadow felt like an echo of him, every drifting fog a whisper of his unfinished tale. Seasons passed, etching the legend further into Villa El Chaltane's mythos, each year deepening its roots within the collective psyche of the community. Time gilded the mystery, tilting nostalgic reminiscences into uncanny reveries. Nature remained both hunter and guardian, rhythms pulsing with life and temptations, nestled intricately like a lie waiting to be uncovered. The forest, with its implacable breath and sovereign shadows, formed a living mosaic where interlopers, drawn toward discovery, often found only the breeding ground of their fears. Jonathan's story persisted like a haunting refrain, reinvigorating the air with foreboding anticlines, perpetually threading new block narratives. Each new retelling cast a shadow longer, feeding the place's charm and threat, a dichotomy that blurs the pragmatic from the supernatural. The mystery of a disappearance that swallowed its own tail.